Nobody stole anything. This is just a theoretical question. Grade magazine. I want y'all to freak
What
out.
really
over that.
happened is
Something-
Scott got mad that
something
night
was
Kroger's was closed.
stolen.
I've got
Couldn't
the
steal
time
it.
here, so.
I couldn't steal anything. They were
because-
closed.
To this special meeting of the Clark County Board of Education, purpose of which is to discuss some of the agenda items for tomorrow night's with an otherwise lengthy meeting. Like I have everyone stand up to the moment of silence. Now pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item of motion is adoption of the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Mr. Parado absent. The motion is in order to excuse Mr. Parado due to illness.
I move that we excuse Mr. Parado due to illness.
Motion by Ms. Hicks.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Mr. Parado absent. All right. Any public comments? You're not public, but you can comment. All right. Okay, next up under Student Support Services is consider approval of school handbooks. Ms. Considine. So we have a preschool handbook, a K handbook, GRC handbook, and the Phoenix handbook to discuss.
That is
You've got
correct.
comfortable shoes on, right?
I do.
Okay.
I've decided to dress comfortably in my summer attire. I did receive the email, Mr. Christie forwarded to me from Mr. Heisel. And so I did go back and we did address a lot of the mistakes that we had on there. And the date on the preschool, that's my fault. You know, as I'm going through and quickly doing it, I left the 6 in there. Usually we leave the board cover letter as a placeholder from the previous year with the letterhead, and we know we're going to go back and replace that, but I think tonight you have an updated letter, so that will be inserted into,
Some of the schools had the updated letter.
yes,
And
because
some
the
didn't.
preschool we did right off the bat, like back in May.
We'll replace it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No.
And then as we went along, we just started replacing the letterheads, just so that as you were looking at them, you would kind of see what they would look like. But the preschool was the first one we worked on. And the only change was in the medication section. I think the nurse changed some wording. It wasn't even enough for me to draw attention for the board. But that was the only change, other than just the updates. I did go back and I've added your email addresses for board members. And-
That, of course, was my suggestion. Could be
Yeah,
other
but
people that
and
want it on
just-
there.
I
That's
did the
fine.
Clark.ky schools.
That was the only thing I was going to ask.
No. Would not get the other ones out. And then I did add for Mr. Loscheider, Ms. Mann, and Mr. Roden. I did put their email addresses as well for that. Now, on the page 11, there will be a bus monitor to assist each driver. That is 100% correct. That is required by law for preschool. I'm discussing the preschool.
Yes.
If that's okay with you
Yes.
guys. On page 12, Michael, do you have the handbook?
Believe I do.
Let me see, page 12. The food
Is
service
it really
section-
slow tonight? Okay. Mine is not loading.
What is written in the K through 8 was written by Ms. Lowry, as that is kind of her section. And so she did not emphasize or bold the free part of it. I kind of wanted to check with her before we do that, just because I know there are certain regulations and guidelines when talking about that program.
Which program?
So this is on page 12, and this is just in my comment that I thought we ought to
Should
beef
we
up the
list it
fact
in bold and
and let them know that, let the parents know that, yeah, that meals are free now.
Seeing it on, where's it at on page 12?
It's
School
not,
nutrition.
Oh, that's where you want it.
yeah.
Okay.
When I talked to Becky, when we were working on this, we spent about 2 days on it. And by law, there's a new regulation. And all students have to receive a letter in hand the first day of school regarding this program. So we kind of felt like that the handbook is kind of overkill, because they're going to get that letter the same, and they're not going to even get the handbook, supposedly. We're going to do it digitally if we pass that new policy. So the letter must go home, and that's required by the federal government to everyone. So, I mean, we can go back and we can highlight it if we could ever get page 12.
But I think you mentioned that it's in the,
Other books.
it's in the other books.
Yes, it's just not in the preschool.
And sometimes, probably didn't happen at your house, but letters get lost and misplaced and stuff
Yes,
like
they
that.
do. Yes, in my house too. And we know that the majority of those letters will end up on the bus floor, but by law, she has to do that. We can put it in, I can do that little paragraph that is in the K-8
Those
and
students-
insert that.
Those students all qualify for free lunch as it is.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were.
yeah, because
It's
they're
really
all there
neither here nor
for
there to me.
a
This
reason,
program is-
yeah.
But don't we still have to have a count of the ones who would actually qualify
And I'm not
if
sure the
we
preschool
didn't
is in that
have?
number. I'll double check that. Becky's at a conference and she was scheduled to be out this week, but I'll double check. I'm not sure the preschool numbers actually count in that
Oh,
percentage
okay.
of the numbers that we have to have, because they're already considered
So, Mr. Chris, you were saying they're already used to this, it's nothing new to them, so we don't have to trip over ourselves to get that in there
They
right now.
qualify, that's one of the things, they
Okay.
qualify for free.
Yeah, you may have a kid or two with disabilities that's over the income threshold. but
Yes.
It's not going to be many
If they qualify for college.
because of this particular income. Okay, I'd be fine with that. Y'all agree?
To leave it the way it is, or to mirror that?
Add the paragraph. from
Add the
K8.
same paragraph.
So, page 12. And it's the, we can find it.
Yeah.
Okay, because it does describe that preschool through 12th grade would be receiving meals as breakfast and lunch. So we can add that. And preschool does not require supplies, so that's why that's not included. And they purchase the little bag, their preschool bag. So we don't ask preschool for anything additional, so that's why that's not included.
Not needed. And the other thing was the date on page 20, so that references the 16-17 year.
Yeah.
That was on your tweak list also? Yes, ma'am.
No, it's not, I don't have it on my list.
Oh,
Well, when I went through, when I came to the first 3 pages and they hadn't been done, I thought none of it had been done.
Oh.
So I didn't go beyond the 3rd page, 3rd or 4th page.
Page 20, 16, 17, is that the page that they signed?
No, it's just additional information.
Mike, can you go to page
20?
please?
It's where it has Scotty's email address.
I have another one on page 14, would include whether snow days or other handbooks mention one call. Actually, the GRC handbook too, when it mentions one call specifically. What's the terminology you're using in the K?
Page 4.
Yeah, this is the K on this.
It's actually school messenger.
School messenger, thank you.
So would you like for us to reference
Yes.
school messenger instead of one call?
The high school one does both, but if it's officially school message, it says one call and school messenger, which is
Okay.
fine, so.
But it is. school
But this one
messenger.
doesn't say anything about it, so.
It doesn't have anything about school messenger.
Just listen to the radio or TV.
Okay,
We're past that, so.
okay.
So let's add a reference to school messenger for the others.
I can do that. Okay, 16, 17, gotcha. And that's on page 20?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other changes? Page 20. Let me run down what I have so far change-wise, okay? So new letterhead, so new letter on the first page. Page 14. add
Fix the
ref-
date on the cover first.
Yes, cover date. So date on the cover, letterhead on the second page from Mr. Christie. Add reference to school messenger on page 14. Add the dates on page 20. And
Page
put
12,
in.
the additional
And then
paragraph.
page 12, additional paragraph about
The K
school
through 8.
meals.
I mean, well, it's K through 12, but it's in the K through 8.
Right, it's in the K through.
And I don't know if GRC referenced it or not. I'll be honest with you. I'm really not in charge of handbooks. I do help out with them.
Who
The
is?
GRC does the handbook, their own handbook.
Okay, yes, yes, they've done theirs for,
well, they need to update their section 9 about the free meals.
Well, I'm gonna
on the
take
what,
notes.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
They need to update their section on what?
Well, if we're jumping to talk about the GRC
No, let's
not.
not. Let's just stay in order.
Okay,
No, let's stay in order.
that's, I didn't know why you were jumping
Let's stay
there.
in order. I'm just
Okay.
throwing out my little disclaimer.
Okay,
So recap, cover date, letterhead, page 12, add the K through
And the
8
letter.
language.
And the letter,
Page 14, add school messenger, page 20, edit dates.
yes.
Okay. So we're good on the preschool handbook. Okay, K-8 handbook.
Okay.
Let's see, just to double check, the first question I had was on page 7, and I'm pretty sure the language you have there, in there reflects the new law which was passed. Just want to throw that out, make sure everybody was good with that. Because it's still confusing to me.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't think anyone's going to take advantage of it. Ironic they passed this at a time when people were sending their kids to school and all.
Well, we have, I'm going to be honest with you, we have 9 students that we're going to test
Okay, all right, good.
that applied for the waiver. And so we are calling them starting tomorrow to set up, and we're going to do it at the end of July.
Okay.
And I'm going to do the testing.
That surprises the day by time.
So we did, Ms. Whitesides and I, we took the handbook and we went through and we double checked. We wanted to make sure, any policy changes. Because last year I spent a lot of time redoing the K. We merged all the handbooks into one generic KA. And so we did go through, and yes, I do have July 2018. I'm trying to live my life as fast as possible to retirement. So I did, I'm already thinking like it's next summer. But yes, and that is the old letter, but I did update the dates in it just so it would kind of look, but Mr. Christie has written a new letter, so that will be inserted.
Oh, that whole thing.
But it'll still be 17 on it.
Yes, as much as I would love to.
August 1.
I'm just honest. I'm just very honest. Okay.
Don't
So-
make it 18, because I'll just be older and I won't really be ready for retirement, sorry.
So on page 7, that is the new verbiage with our policy. Nothing changed in the first sections. We did add something, a 1 line in attendance. We go down. There's our new verbiage for the primary school, and that is just a cut and paste from the policy. So it continues on page 8.
On page 9, I have a question that you probably can't answer.
Okay.
We passed the medical excuse form last year.
I was getting ready to
And I was
ask that.
wondering
Yeah.
if that's had a positive effect on attendance in the district. Has there been less hassle for chronic kids? Have we had any filled out? You're not going to know, Mr. Holmes.
I don't know, but we did add keep going, Michael, please, if you don't mind. Right there. The medical excuse form is
Right.
required after, that was not in the handbooks last year.
And that's why he said they were not, I had to call about one. And I called Mr. Holland and he said that they really were not pushing it last year because it was not in the handbook.
Okay. All right.
And he would wait until this year.
All right.
So it is in the handbook this year?
Yes.
Yes, that sentence is now included. And we did put contact the principal to get the form. Now, something that could possibly happen is that Mr. Napier could put the form on the website for easy access for parents,
Yeah.
which I think would be really handy.
Where's it at, Brenda? Where did you add that?
How are you getting access so quickly?
Because I'm on my own.
Oh,
She's got her own.
Yeah, I'm using AT&T's.
Mr. Napier, if you could go up a little bit. No, I'm sorry, Dan. No.
Can you
Is
see
yours
it?
on there?
I
Right
just have
there.
mine on the flash drive.
This form right there.
Oh.
Right there, right there where your
Well,
cursor
Medical
is.
excuse form is required after 12 minutes
Can you see, do you want to move the board back?
Yeah.
So we could say this form we picked up from the principal or obtained online.
Yes, I can add that if we get it online or access online.
So once they have
That
12
helps.
absences,
Thank
they
you.
have to have this paper.
Yes, ma'am.
We got
And then they don't have to have anything else, right, after that? That's the way I understood it from Greg, but I don't know. Once they put that on file, is that right?
They can be
I
absent
think
as
the
many
doctor
times
has
as
to
they want
sign it.
to.
For
Right.
the absences related to that note, if they have
Yes.
something
Right.
else that causes an
Uh-huh.
absence, that could be a different, one note because of an allergy or some sort, and then they miss because they were out of town or something, that's not covered by it.
Right. The idea was there are certain kids that were going to school a lot and recurring illnesses. So if it was cystic fibrosis or cancer or something like that, he's going to be at the doctor's office every other week. So there's no sense going after those parents. But if a child doesn't have a chronic medical condition and is out a lot, then everybody knows this is a red flag that this kid is true, so.
So that one note though will cover
Right,
for
that's the
that.
idea behind that.
The related, the illnesses that are related to that note.
Good luck proving that they're not related.
Look up who signs the form. You could ask me, I'll tell you, because I know the specialty of all the physicians that these people will go to, so. You can figure it out, so.
Well, if they've got something like that, it could be something related to it and not necessarily be that, so. I'm fine with it, I missed the writing on it.
Okay, more on questions for the K-8.
Bottom of page 11, some another set of dates that need to be changed.
Oh, man, I missed some. I'm a slacker.
You're a slacker.
That's not in the form of a motion, is it?
No.
Which part of page 11?
At the bottom.
The school-based therapy?
Yes.
Oh, for the
Our
16th,
dates.
17th, For the 17th. Okay.
Can we just do a search and have it change all 2016, 2017 to 2017, 2018?
So do all things we know how to do. Tom, that's that.
We taught that too many times.
All right, I had another question at the end of page 13.
Before we get there,
Okay,
if
never
I may,
mind.
please, sir, in order.
Okay,
On-
yeah, in
on-
order.
On the free meal stuff on 12,
Yes,
the wording is exactly there,
yes.
right in the center. But to our regular parent, do they know what that means?
No.
Should we
They do
maybe
not.
add a little something that says, that says,
You could bold
There's
those
no
schools
cost.
at no charge.
or just tweak it a little?
It said it last year, and Becky asked me to take it out. And I don't know if it's something to do with the federal guidelines. They completely, food service wrote this section for us this
Okay.
year.
Right there in the center.
Okay? And the reason being is
The-
we had some things in there that said free breakfast and lunch for students preschool K through 8, and she asked me to take that out. I don't know.
Well,
And she went to a meeting and they worked on.
Yes,
all
I mean,
that.
I'm only going by
well,
what
I'm,
food services provide.
People, but, folks do not know what community eligibility is. You
They
talk
will
about
when they-
CEP,
Well, it
they think you're
says-
talking about a disease.
Well,
To offer breakfast and lunch to all students at no charge.
yes. And
In
Ms.
high
Hicks-
poverty schools, some folks think they are not sending their kids to high poverty schools.
But Ms. Hicks, we have to have open enrollment.
I
which
understand.
At that
Yes,
time,
yes.
way before this handbook comes in their hand, they realize why they're going to open enrollment is for us to collect the information so that their child can receive free breakfast and free lunch. So way before they receive this handbook, they're gonna know that. I mean, we can.
But do they know that the CEP is the same thing that they think they've already heard about? When the terminology is different, they sometimes don't associate the
Right.
terminology with the training or whatever they've
Right.
had.
But again, I'm gonna keep emphasizing this. When we use community eligibility program, they do not want it to sound like it is free breakfast and lunch for everyone. Because we had it in there and Becky specifically asked to take it out and rewrite this. I'm just going on how she worked on this whole page based on the training she went to. I'm not comfortable to say, yes, let's go do that, because I'm not over the program.
She's at a conference. I'll call her later tonight or tomorrow, and I'll have you an answer before tomorrow night on why it's written the way that it is. Like she said, they wrote this out for all. This will be a common
is.
language that you'll see in a lot of handbooks.
and it certainly wouldn't surprise me if the federal government has some particular rules that only make sense to them. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
It has a lot of rules when it comes to school nutrition.
And we don't
so.
want to lose the
Yeah.
privilege
Right.
of offering this program.
And-
And
I'll
I know
find
they're
out why it's
very,
written,
So
why she requested.
If we
it.
had any ability to add plain language on there, that'd be good. But I guess practical in the real world, for most kids, after they'll get the message. There'll be
First
probably a
that.
handful that they'll keep getting money from their parents and won't tell them. But
In fact, I could probably text Becky now, but I won't.
And
So
we
you don't
had a
stand
whole
by the
section in
conference
there
right
for students that were charging, okay?
now. Text me, she
That
charged.
owed money, no. So we had to remove that. We spent about 2 to 3 days on this section here.
So I guess, from my perspective, we don't want to mess up the program, we don't want to mess up the federal government
I'm
or,
not going to.
or do anything like that, because
But
they're already
that's
messed up enough as it is. Is this
typical
recording?
federal
Thank you, it's a
government
Dale
verbiage.
can.
Yes.
But if there's any plain language that a regular person can understand, it would be,
Right.
it would be beneficial to that. If they can't do it, I would
Right.
understand.
Right now, preschool through 6th grade is expecting it. So for this handbook, only 2 grades, would it be something that's new to them?
And we have new
For 7th
parents
and
too.
8th grade, and new
New,
parents.
new inflow into our
And new
community.
people, they're moving in every day.
Nice.
But for high school, I'm going to be honest with you, and I know I'm not even talking about it right now.
Yeah. All right.
No,
So
run
that's
past
the end of my
age.
comment on 12.
Okay. So see if we can find.
13?
13, under student performance, we mentioned Common Core standards. Did Senate Bill 1 eliminate Common Core
Yes.
standards in the Commonwealth of Kentucky?
We're still teaching Common Core
No.
with
But
Katie.
are we even
But
allowed to
are
say
we
that?
allowed to say that when it's in
Yes.
violation of a law that has been passed by our legislature?
No, because the common ground that the governor and the commissioner came to be on was revised. So we're still under the Common Core. They're just being revised.
Should we say using the revised Common Core
Well,
standards?
they're not revised
Not
yet.
revised
They're in
yet.
the process of being revised. The revision is occurring. We all participated in a Survey Monkey where we took the ELA and the math standards 2 weeks ago, and we all went in and we were able, there's some revision from the department, but as educators, we were able to offer our opinions on revision. And so we did that. But that's not going to happen. So right now, we are still teaching under, because those were what was adopted, and it's still what we have, even though Senate Bill 1, it didn't say they abolished Common Core, that we would have revisions.
I was just wondering.
But I mean, it could change, you know, I mean, and who knows what they will call the revised. I mean, technically, we could probably have the Kentucky Common Assessment Standards, because it's kind of what
They're
it's
still,
called.
they're not even talking about what they're gonna call that, or the test, where it's unbridled learning, that's gonna change. They don't know what it's gonna be called yet, even as late as today in the KSBA news feed. They were talking
I'd
about
just rather would not have the governor tap dancing on us because we're teaching Common Core. It's supposed to be, so.
Well,
I understand what situation we're in. but-
if we take that out, then I think we could have a whole mess of teachers saying, well, I really don't know what I'm supposed to be teaching.
Right, yeah.
I think we should leave it in. We did take out the title of the state assessment,
Okay.
because that, we're just gonna say the state assessment is given.
Okay.
We can watch that closely
Okay.
when it comes to the standards,
Okay.
because I'm like you, I don't wanna
July,
be,
then we can change it, bring it back, change it.
Yes.
I don't think it'll change between now and next month.
I'm thinking more September.
Yeah. I agree with that, so, okay. All right. That's all I had. Anybody else?
The other comment was, do we again go out of our way to say that, that
all the
supplies are
supplies.
provided? I didn't see that in here, but I could have
In
missed
the
it.
letter, the cover letter has it now. The
Okay.
beginning of the handbook has it in the cover. letter.
Should we incorporate it into the handbook?
There is a section about fees. I don't know what page it's on, and it's very generic.
Yeah, it says like all students, it's right above this, all students in Clark County schools will not be charged a fee for instructional supplies. Only students participating in athletics and extracurricular activities will be required to pay a fee. That's on page 13, so.
I mean, we
But
can
you know,
put a
if I'm
little-
reading that, when I read that, I thought, okay, all students will not be charged. Is that sort of unspoken that some will be? Can that be an interpretation? You know, all students don't play sports, but some do.
Maybe we'd say no students in Clark County schools will be charged a fee for
Yes.
instructional supplies.
Yes. I think it kind
Yeah,
of needs to be
I
that
think
way.
that would be
even though-
helpful. I mean, In your letter
In the
or
letter,
in?
it says students will pay fees only for certain
Yes.
extracurricular items.
Yes.
And that's what they're talking about here, is the
Yes.
extracurricular stuff.
But you just suggested a sentence to go in the handbook.
No students in Clark County schools will be charged a fee for instructional supplies. Only students participating in athletics and extracurricular activities may be required to pay a fee.
I'm sorry, is that your letter or the handbook? I
That
apologize.
was changed in the handbook to say no
Okay.
students
Okay.
in Clark County schools will be charged a fee for instructional supplies. We need to change the handbook to say that.
Yes.
And then leave the second sentence as it is, or we can put the same sentence in there that I used in the letter. It says, students will pay fees only for certain extracurricular activities, because not even all extracurricular
Right.
activities have fees. So you want to use that same statement that's in
I
the
would
letter
think that would be
there?
preferable.
Use that same-
That way it's consistent wording.
Right.
Whichever document they're looking at.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, other changes. All right, here's what I have so far in the K handbook. So new cover letter. We'll mention that the medical excuse form is online on page 9. On page 11, change the dates. And on page 13, change all students in Clark County schools to no students in Clark County schools. No students in Clark County schools will be charged a fee for instructional supplies. I think the second not out of what's double negative, and the 6 will be all over us. So. See, I'll learn. Okay.
And then check on,
I'm gonna check with Becky on, I've got my number.
Yeah, check with Becky.
See if there's any
CEP stuff.
plain language
Yeah, see if we can use the words free breakfast and free lunch.
or some variation of it.
we could put it on the cover, on the handbook, I mean, on the cover page, you know, free breakfast, free
But
lunch.
it's in the letter.
No supplies,
Free
I
supplies.
mean,
Hard supplies.
like in like little banners, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Free mixers? No, we didn't do that.
no.
All right. Next is GRC handbook. Okay?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Let's see.
Now this is where my disclaimer comes in.
New cover letter will fix the formatting on page 3.
Oh, yes, there was a, that's what I left out of your email. There was something superimposed on one of the pages. Was
Yeah,
that
there was
three?
something where the formatting.
I'm going to tell you that this handbook was written with text boxes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
It's
is
hard
a
to do.
Why?
Nightmare.
Why does anybody do
I
that?
don't know.
So it is a nightmare to change.
That person that did this when they originally was not at the school now, so.
You were so harsh.
No, I don't, they're someplace else in the district. They're working someplace else in the district.
He is harsh.
All right. So let's see.
Not because of the
So
handbook.
I'm going to take notes.
Okay.
Okay, page 3.
So page 3, a new cover letter will fix that. It's a
Right.
formatting that the old one was bad. The next thing I had was on page 17, which is section 9, food service. So
Oh, no.
the issue is not,
This is just not.
so eligibility provisions not even mentioned there, so it needs to be added.
Okay.
So CEP language needs to be added there.
Let's see.
Do you all have anything before that? So we're going in order or not?
Wait, what page are we on?
I skipped to
Mine
page
just won't
17.
load.
17.
I'm sorry.
There's section 9, right? The
Yeah.
food, yeah, that's what all I had.
Maybe it's gonna load here. Ah, okay.
Oh, we did have something prior to that. With the Gatton Academy, we also participated in craft.
Craft,
So
yes.
I inserted that. I
Thank
did
you.
insert that.
What page is that on?
It's on the AP page, because there were changes on it too.
10.
10.
It will not reflect on this because this was uploaded prior to that. No, it's not there, but it is, Craft Academy was included with Gatton Academy. And we cleaned up some of that verbiage on the bottom part of AP.
Yes, where it said you didn't get credit if you didn't
No,
pass the
it's
test.
college credit.
Yes,
Right.
College. So we
Yes.
cleaned that up today too.
thank you. Did I have another one in there, Paul?
Well,
I don't have
I
my,
can pull the email up, but
I don't have my email with me. I forgot.
The only other thing I had is in the most minor department ever was some of the addresses, email addresses on page 5 were underlined, some were not.
Okay.
And it just doesn't mean,
Good job.
oh, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but it just might confuse
Probably the
somebody.
person pressed enter on some of the lines
Yeah.
and down arrow on some of the others.
Or, yeah, some they've opened, some they haven't.
Because
yeah.
when you press the enter, it underlines it.
So we'll get consistency on page 5.
Just Ellen, and she's always the odd man out. Bless her heart.
Oh, did she do these?
No, she's the
No,
only one
she's
that's not
not
underlined.
underlined.
Oh,
Well, but then later on, like Aaron and Steve.
She likes to be
Maggie.
different. Ellen's unique.
All right, so cover letter on page 3, we have a couple changes on 10, so add the Craft Academy and college credit at the bottom. And then we got to page 17, there needs to be mention of the CEP, so we need to add the CEP language there. Next thing I have is 27. Anybody have anything before that?
I don't know.
And Mr. Snell did attach did you receive the handbook changes sheet?
Yes.
I see that, yes, I have that page. That's the only page that will open for me for now.
Are you on 27?
Did they not add another assistant principal at the high school? Has there not been anyone hired yet?
It's not filled yet.
Okay.
It's still posted. And so, if we, that's,
Yeah, formatting needs to be fixed on this page.
okay.
Yes, that's the one I remember.
we add
Yeah.
the word may to students who earn a 3 or higher on the AP test may receive.
May receive
May
credit
receive.
because-
it depends.
Some don't.
Yeah, some aren't going to give you credit.
Right, because it's a shall in the current thing, and that is not accurate, no. And a lot of out-of-state schools do
Alma
not.
Mater did not.
No.
So that was added to it. That was-
Yeah, so change to May. Thank you.
So this needs some work.
Which one is that?
This is page 27. It looks like we have some text boxes that probably were up over that have somehow moved.
Those text boxes sometimes change around from Apple computer to a Apple computer.
Yeah, if they're not using the same platform, it is
High
safe.
school's all,
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all that.
So work on text box.
Next
Ms.
question.
Nance and I, we could probably do that, couldn't we? We're pretty handy with some of those things.
Next question would be on page number 28, does Senate Bill 1 affect anything on that page? That's just an open-ended question. So
Which
that's
page?
EOC requirements.
Yeah.
Well, we will still administer EOCs because it is still in the law. We're not quite sure the content that they're going to test them on.
Okay.
And it's still going to be English 2, biology, algebra 2, and US history, but we're not sure with the curriculum because of course Quality Core is no longer the curriculum for those tests. This summer, the department is working with teachers to write the end of course assessment. So that really, we probably could pull verbiage from the actual Senate Bill 1 regarding EOCs and use that there because it's law.
Yeah. I was
And it
just
might be
wondering about
better
that when
to
I read
have that.
so. Right. We have 2 Senate Bill 1s going to do it. The first is in
You have the-
2009, and the most recent one was this year.
We have the
so-
2010 and then the 2017. And so what we do is we put Senate Bill 1, SB 1, and then in parentheses, we put 2017 because the other ones, preceded.
Parts of it
what?
are, parts of it are.
Yeah, parts of it are still, parts of 2010 are still in
Right.
Yes,
2017.
yes.
So, but we can use that, what we'll do is we'll get it, and then I'll send it back to GRC to have them look at it, the content that we pulled from the actual bill.
Is this thing about them, students may be charged fees for the cost of vocational class workbooks and simulation materials, industrial ed projects, food service classes, agriculture classes, and vocational school? Doesn't that need to come out? Because we were saying all instructional fees are going to be covered. Nobody has to pay an instructional fee.
Like they do pay fees for like flowers, you know, when they do flower arranging.
If they're getting something for it, that they keep or that they can sell, they do. But now those are, the agreement was those are being paid. Those, the students aren't paying for flowers.
Well, it says here,
or-
students may be charged
Which-
fees for
which
those.
one?
On
It's at
page
the top of
27.
Page 27.
That should, we need.
It's got a whole
But
section
Are
there.
you, okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate because the Area Technology Center they don't necessarily fall under our jurisdiction.
These are not area technology center. These are high school classes.
It says the cost of. vocational
Agriculture is a high
classes.
school class. It is not part of the technology center. Food service classes are not part of the technology center.
That's correct.
There is no food service fees, there are no ag fees, and there are no.
Industrial
vocational
ed.
fees. No.
Okay, so it can all come in?
Well,
I mean, if we're
it does
saying
say
we're,
vocational classes though in the beginning.
Those
but there are
those
some vocational
vocational high
classes
school
within the
classes.
high school.
Those are high school vocational classes.
I mean, we are not writing a handbook for the technology center. Our handbook relates to
GRC.
the public school GRC.
You probably should mention that because this policy does not apply to them.
Yeah, because they could charge.
Oh, yeah.
The Area Technology Center could charge for
Right,
carpentry
so-
and
But any vocational class that is offered in the
Through-
curriculum of George Rogers Clark
Right.
High School.
through GRC.
But that, I really believe that needs to be addressed, just to be clear, because we're gonna see some, you know, I can imagine some kickback on some of that.
Keep back on some of,
You know, if someone,
if they're charging.
you know, what if a
fees.
teacher interprets that, okay, that means I can charge for my accounting simulation? And if we're saying that our
Your
fee
color is gonna say something
forgiveness,
different.
that the board is going to cover all instructional fees, then that really makes it a little unclear, in my opinion.
Okay, so that fee box needs to be added,
Okay.
as does the rest of the page, so we can read what's on.
What about the parking permit?
It's the same.
But there is no contingent upon payment of fees if we're not
No,
charging
that
any
needs,
fees.
the parking permit remains $10.
Right, we were still, yeah, that was a
And you have to pay
privilege.
$10 for the parking fee. to
Yeah,
get to
that's
pay
a
the permit.
privilege.
So that's the permit.
For the, we could call it a parking privilege rather than a parking fee.
Yeah, parking.
All right.
And the participation in senior activities until fee obligations
So
are
that's taxes
resolved.
to be removed.
Unless they're in an extracurricular fee activity.
Those would be in that
Okay.
activity. Make that activity.
So that is major.
Looks like I have this page 40. Do I have anything else between here and there? So 40 and 41, I guess, need formatting fixed. The other suggestion I would make would be under the level 4 violations, you've got first referral, second referral, third referral. There's offenses carry 10-day suspension, loss of driving privileges, police notification, may carry recommendation of expulsion referral. It might be clearer to me if you got rid of all the boxes underneath and just put that,
Okay.
just shaded area.
What page is that on? I'm sorry.
That's on 41. Because if you look up, there's these grids and you've got all the different things,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
going there. And there you've got just an empty grid. And you may take a look at that and say, well, this driveway adds nothing, right?
Yes.
But, so what I would do, my suggestion would be to get rid of all those boxes and take what's in that first box there and just, you know, make it fill all that area, so. And leave it bolded and high-end shaded so that it gets people's attention. Okay, any other changes? Ready for the rundown?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Page 3, new cover letter. Page 10, in the upper right-hand text box, add craft reference to the Craft Academy. At the bottom of page 10, may receive college credit at the bottom of the text box. Page 17, we need to add language about the community eligibility provision. Page 27, formatting needs to be fixed, and the fees box needs to be edited to reflect current district policy. Page 28 will update the language about EOC requirements to be up to date with the current Senate Bill 1. And page 40 and 41 need to be fixed. 40 needs to be reformatted, and 41 we need to get rid of that blank box on roll before. We did bold language and covering the whole thing.
Also at page 5, consistency with that line.
Yes. Okay. Last but not least is Phoenix. Changes on this.
It's missing the cover letter.
Yeah.
It's never had a
We've
cover.
never put the cover letter in there. I guess we probably need to, but it's never, I don't know why, but it was never in there.
Should we also give them a contact page so they know how to get in touch with the people that run the school?
Makes sense.
The other thing I thought about is on top of page 3, Phoenix Academy is supposed to provide a quote exceptional unquote educational opportunity for educated and at-risk youth. I'll get rid of the quotes. I don't think there's any role for quotes there. We do provide
Those are
an exceptional
called scare
educational
quotes.
opportunity.
What quotes?
Scare quotes. They should be avoided at all costs.
Okay.
Put
So-
italics or something, but that one doesn't need anything there.
No, that's what we do. We provide an excellent educational opportunity for educated and at-risk youth. We do a very good job of that. So there's no reason to have that in quotes at all. So
I agree.
eliminate that.
Okay.
Any other changes? That was the only one I really saw.
I'm assuming meals are also free here at Phoenix. So
Add a,
roll that into it also.
What page would that go on?
we could probably get it right there, under the one call notification system. We can change that off, I mean, we'll update that to school messenger. But that, there's a little bit of a white space there that I might be able to fit that in without reformatting the whole.
There's a food service.
There is a.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a
Which
Page
one are we on
16.
where you were saying there was not a cover letter?
Phoenix Academy.
Phoenix
Oh,
doesn't have-
okay.
Phoenix doesn't. On page 16, there's food service, all youth are served breakfast and lunch. We probably could do that. We need to use the same language there that we do in the
Yep.
others, whatever
Yep.
Becky qualifies on, whether it's free, will be served free, or whatever that is, but it'll look the same as it does in high school.
Okay. Okay. Any other changes?
Mine's just now loading Phoenix, I'm sorry.
Okay. So far, we have add cover letter, add contact page, get rid of the quotes on page 3, and then the community eligibility program language on page 16.
while she's bringing that up, I would tell you, Phoenix, one of the things I'm looking at this time we're going to make available for those students is getting them back to the high school for the area technology center classes. I've worked out the transportation for them to be able to do half days. Now, once they're assigned there by either the board or by the course, there'll be a certain period of time that they have to work their way to that privilege. They won't go immediately the next day, but they can work their way into it. And then we're working on the regulations. If anything were to happen, they got any kind of problems, any kind of trouble there, they lose that privilege. But we'll work with any and all the vocational trades out there, get them back out there for half days. I've got the transportation worked out at midday, and then they can actually ride the bus from there at the end of the day.
So it would just be for the second half of the day.
Well, I won't say that, because it depends on the numbers we've got at Phoenix. It might be some of the classes they need to stop in the morning, so there will be some that may come to Phoenix and the bus will pick them up, take them to high school after we're working on deals like they gotta leave the phone, all those kinds of things. If they have to meet the criteria they meet for Phoenix, they still have to meet that. But the plan is to get them morning or afternoon, and get them into vocational classes if they.
And it's in the rubric where they can obtain the privileges, because it says under progress level eligible for vocational educational program. Yeah. So that's involved. And they would have to progress that far in the rubric to be able to do that.
So they would work their way up.
Right.
Yes.
And there's also stipulations in there if they work their way down through that behavior to be removed. So. That would require a change of the name.
I just threw that in there, but that's something we're going to be doing this time.
Okay. Anything else? All right. So for Phoenix Academy, we have cover letter, contact page, get rid of quotes on page 3, and add CEP language on page 16. All right. Okay. Hopefully, without further discussion, I'll ask for a motion to approve the school handbooks as revised. If you want me to go through all the changes, I will. But
It would seem like that motion probably would include some language that the final version should be approved by somebody, perhaps the board chairman. Would there be a logical
that's fine.
addition? Because we're talking about some
Yeah.
changes. We don't want to hold up the whole process. We like
Right.
to move it along, but still would be good to have somebody.
You can send them to me for proofreading, and maybe Ms. Hicks, because she's the grammatician here. I tell you what, I'll take a look and I'll have.
You could always
I'll call
then
Judy. So.
touch base. So I would then move that we approve these handbooks with the changes that we have discussed this evening, subject to the final approval of the board chairman.
Okay. All right, motion by Mr. Heisel,
Second.
second by Ms. Hicks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Mr. Perry absent. All right, next up is item number 3, approval of the 2017-18 certified evaluation plan.
Yes, we, as with Senate Bill 1, PGS was, I don't want to say gutted, but a lot of.
It was. You can say that.
It was gutted. And so at that point, once SB 1 went into law, we had to immediately start working on this. And one of the requirements is to meet with our 50/50 committee, which is
Right.
50% teachers, 50% administrators. And we had a lot of discussion on, you can leave it, the district can choose to leave it as is, there's nothing wrong with that, or we can make some minor changes. And the committee decided that until we receive further guidelines from the Department of Education, that we would like to go ahead and remove student growth. Just because it was removed from Senate Bill 1, and we feel like that we still would like to have some additional guidance on that. So most of our changes kind of revolved around student growth. We did make some changes to some dates on our summative evaluation dates. They were a little bit later this current year because we were allowing time for teachers to teach as long as possible, then assess for student growth, and then have their summative evaluation. So we did change all non-tenured and tenured teachers, counselors, and school media specialists have an April 30th submitted date, and we did move up all administrative staff to May 30th. What we're kind of finding is that we had June 15th on there, but it gets a little spotty with the administrators, and so we're thinking if we can get them to get all of this done before May 30th, it might be easier for us to track. So that was the intention of moving those deadlines, and the committee was very, very happy with that. So what you will find is that the biggest change, if you go to page 22, determining the overall performance category. For this year, with the removal of student growth, we have to have multiple measures of how teachers can receive ratings. And so we talked about that. One, of course, is the observation, and that's always been a part of the certified evaluation plan. Another part is their professional growth plan and carrying out that growth plan. That can be rated. In the past, it was not rated, it was required to do it, and it became part of the overall evaluation, but it was not actually rated. The other thing is that student voice, which is by all students participate, we decided that that could be a form of measurement. So we had a lot of discussion regarding that.
So how does that look?
If you go to page 24, it's going to start your professional growth plan. So you can see how you have your columns. So you'll have a summative observation rating, you will have a professional growth plan performance rating, and a student voice rating.
Okay, but how does this student voice rating, what does that look like?
It is provided by the Department of Education. Students take it
Okay.
online, and we get a percentage for it.
So is that a percentage for each teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, currently, preschool and K through 2 do not participate in student voice. So, at one time, they were going to with PGES, right?
Kindergarten, online, evaluate.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Is it, okay, when they go online, is it a listen and respond, or is it a read and
It's free to
respond?
use. But we're not going to do an online for them. It will only be online grades 3 through 12, but we will have them participate in a paper pencil. And they're very generic. The state ended up not using them because I thought it was kind of hard for,
I can see why.
Get
but
them on.
but we had
How
some young
much?
people, we had some teachers that were on it. They saw our questions. We deleted some questions, and they were very fine with it.
So what sorts, I
Draw
don't
a
get
picture
this
of your
part
teacher.
at
I used to have a
all.
little thing that was a face that was.
Yes, and it has a
Draw a
smiley
picture of your
face.
doctor, and I got some
It
really
does.
hilarious things.
Smiley,
that-
smiley, and then kind of a, just kind of like this, and then a frowny face, and it says, "My teacher helps me with my work. My teacher cares about me."
So how is this an objective evaluation?
Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. If you look at the student voices and the percentages, students really do rate their teachers to the way I see them. We'll have some
But
outliers.
is that, my question remains.
I know.
How
How
objective is it? Because even you could be subjective about what you think of a teacher.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
how do you
It's just a
assign an
multiple measure.
objective rating?
It's just, well, it's-
Evaluation, I mean, this is professional growth and evaluation.
I will tell you, the professional growth and
No.
performance is subjective as well. Everything is subjective. An
But this-
observation
I mean,
is
for-
subjective. I mean, all of it is.
But when we look at our reading scores that are not great, And the evaluation with student voice is based on reading and responding. I really have a serious concern about that portion of the rating system.
I had
Growth.
that concern when student voice was first floated a couple of years ago. I was like, what? But, you know, actually statewide, it's not something that's not on the radar screen statewide. It's not something we see in the news feeds. It's not something you hear at conferences. It's not something that's been bannered about here. Actually, I was surprised at how quickly it was accepted statewide. So, I don't know about a quarter of my grade. But
So is this professional growth plan not just,
33%.
33%, yeah.
so is this professional growth plan for districts other than ours? Who else is using this student
Just
voice?
us. I mean, I haven't put any feelers out. Because
District does, right?
the way that Senate Bill 1 is written, that the district can choose, we could go back to our old certified evaluation plan that was meets, does not meet. I mean, we could go back 5 years and do that. We felt like that the student voice rating, and there was a lot of discussion. We met a couple of times, about 3 times to discuss student voice, because at first they were all like, no, the teachers like, we don't really want our students to be rating us. But then when they saw the cut scores of it, they were like,
Maybe we do.
maybe we do, because it's pretty general. I mean, I will tell you that based on all of the student voice ratings that we've had, we have never had an ineffective teacher based by students in our district. If you look at the 0 to 25%. We haven't had one.
I think it's useful to keep the student voice in there as long as you all are excluding out the outliers and people that have a particular beat or something like that.
And the way student voice.
So how do you control for the outliers?
You can't.
Well, for GRC and Campbell and Baker, well, not so much Baker because they don't trade as much, every student takes the student voice on every teacher. Originally, it was like we got to pick which period it was. So the district would say, okay, second period, that's how it was written.
So
And-
every student on every teacher, whether you have that teacher for a class or not?
No, you have to have it for a class.
Okay.
Every
What I
student
was
has
hearing
their
was
class.
every teacher, every student.
Every student
student
that
and
has
teacher.
a
Okay.
teacher will take a survey for them. Now, you have to have that teacher so many class periods, or it's gonna kick you out, okay? And that's done by IC. I mean, the way it's pulled, it's a database, and it pulls it, and you have to have spent so many days in that teacher's class before it will pull for you. So like,
So absences that accumulate would kick you out?
no,
Okay. My point
but
exactly.
schedule would.
So a kid could be absent 20 days in my class, and then I get a really bad evaluation because I did not, the evaluation of that student based on the work he or she did or did not do, I'm gonna get a bad evaluation.
One student's not gonna make a difference when you have 70 students taking the survey for you. I mean, that's kind of where your outliers
Yeah.
don't really play into it. We have to have multiple measures. Senate Bill 1 says you have to have multiple measures.
And what other
That's-
measures were considered besides student voice?
There were no other. Give me a measure. I mean, we racked our brains with it. I mean,
Professional growth, was kind of a stretch because in the past, that's not been part of the evaluation. Once you said, that's just been a requirement. So making it even part of the evaluation was to get a second.
and how you perform, how do you accomplish your professional growth plan? And so that in itself, the teachers must bring the information, all of their data, and what they have, they choose that professional growth goal. The principal approves it, and then they have all year long to obtain and master what it is they're working on. The summative observations, that's when the principals or assistant principals are going into the classroom and they're observing. And those are all recorded and there, the teacher picks the day. The thing about the student voice rating, Ms. Hicks, what I don't think you realize is that you can do a student voice survey with your kids once a month. There's nothing that says that they, at the end of October, oh, hey kids, I'm going to pass a paper pencil. I want to know, how do you perceive me as a teacher? Because truly, the children sitting in those seats are the ones that sometimes don't have a voice.
Oh, I understand that, and I think having student voice is commendable. I think it is needed, but when it comes to evaluation, I want to see objective criteria, something that can be measured to the extent possible, because to a certain extent, everything is subjective. But we have the ratings, we spend hours doing ratings. I don't see kids spending hours to do ratings.
No, they don't. Because you don't want them to spend out. I don't want them to
No,
lose
but
instructional time.
sometimes, yeah, right, but sometimes it's more than just a fly-by-night kind of thing. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. Yeah, she's pretty good. No, I'm in a bad mood today.
Right.
I think that is not the way to do professional evaluation, because children are not to a professional level yet in most cases, in my opinion. So, that's my opinion. I have to
I'll
be
say
on
this, the
top three.
student voice your most accurate data is probably in that K through 2 range when you do this. Because I'll tell you, kids are remarkably honest from my standpoint as a physician. Where does it hurt? Does this hurt? Who knocked the lamp over? You won't get a straight answer for that, ever. But where does it hurt? Do you like this person? You get a straight answer. Is this person helping you? If you ask those kinds of questions. Do you learn more in this person's place? They're going to tell you this truth. So.
I think we
There's
need
a
to
lot
have,
of
I would be leery about this. All right, Miss Hicks, well, this kid was out of your class 22 times and you sent him for detention or something else. Yeah, you're going to get flamed on this.
Right.
So, but you did the right thing, and
And what you have to realize is that, we have lots of conversations about this, about high school students, and they know how to play the system.
And it happens long before high school.
It
we're
does,
playing
and
the
it happens
system.
probably right around 5th grade, 6th grade. But we pulled all the student voice ratings for the last 3 years. We don't have an ineffective teacher based on this scale in our district as rated by students. Now, that is only 3rd grade through 12th grade.
I think we have some ineffective teachers in our system,
Exactly.
sadly.
But the problem is, and I'm going to be very honest with you, this whole system, PGS, was written to get rid of the ineffective teachers, and the government gutted it.
I agree with you 110%. When I
They
saw
get
Senate
it.
Bill 1, that was the thing. That
They
was
did.
most-
So,
because-
Well,
they
everything
took all
on
the
it,
power
it's a
away.
race to the bottom.
I'm just going to be honest with you. It's very, very frustrating to work on ways to have an evaluation system that will take tenured teachers and try to make them better. And then, and then they got it because people griped about it. And so at this point, I feel like we're doing the best we can with the information that we have, because KDE is working on their answer to Senate Bill 1. We don't have it, we're not going to have it this year. At that point, they will come out, and I'll look for student growth to possibly come back in, but it may not show up as an enduring skill. We don't know. There's just too many things, there's too many ifs. This is for a 1-year plan. I feel like it is something that we could all live with. Yes, are teachers not happy about the student voice rating? No. But you know what I'd say? Give it each month and explain what the student voice means in your classroom. It's a quick check. How am I doing through the eyes of a student? I personally, I'm a former teacher, and I was an elementary teacher. I would have no problem with my 2nd graders rating me. I really wouldn't, because
Oh, I wouldn't have a problem with my 2nd graders rating me. Juniors and seniors and,
but we had
yeah.
high school people on the committee. And they, and if they thought about it, they really did. And I said, go back and look at your data. But some of them said, it was a very growing experience because I thought I was being very nurturing in my class. But according to my students, they did not see me as that type of teacher. I mean, there's the 7 characteristics which come out in that survey. If we chose only one class period to do it, if I have 5 class periods, all 5 class periods are going to take student voice. If I'm teaching U.S. history and I have 5 class periods, all of those class periods will participate. And it is a measure for us. Will it stay in next year after we receive KDE's guidance? Probably not. It will probably be a part of it, but we can't just have summative observation ratings. That's not a multiple measure from the way we are interpreting the law.
So the student voice is preferable to a student growth measure.
Well,
That's what the state will end up.
yes,
That's what
and
they're going to end up.
I'm going to be honest with you. The student growth goals that we have written are not that great by teachers. And it's then left up to administration to clean them up. They're supposed to be written as a SMART goal. They're not. If you saw.
So why don't we fix that part?
Well, that's why Senate Bill 1 came about. Because it wasn't happening. Now, I will tell you, K through 6th grade, we did it right. We had pre-assessment and a post-assessment for ELA and math. The test was written by the district. If you truly want to see student growth, you have to do it that way. At the high school, they had 90 different student growth goals.
Oh.
90 different assessments, pre-assessments, you kind of know, you lived it. I mean, you're at the mercy of what the data that they bring to you when you're doing an evaluation. That's why it was gutted.
You know what, that's actually not a bad thing to have 90 different growth
That's
goals at the high
true.
school, because the kids are going in all different directions
Yes.
now, and we're helping them
Yeah.
all get there, and they're
When
all
you
good
look-
places.
When you
so.
really look at it.
Because, things have gotten individual. I understand, yeah, student growth, I remember when this first system first came out, our first.
Nobody could
measure
explain
growth, the KDE didn't know, because the
No.
first year, they gave us extra credit for test scores for student growth, remember that?
Yes.
And then,
That's a
the-
silly question.
Go ahead.
That counts for 33 and 30%. Can we play with the percentages at the different grade levels?
We talked about it, and you have to realize, this is committee work. This isn't my work.
Right.
This is committee work, and they wanted it 33%. They wanted it even, because we talked about it could be like 10%, and then they said, well, if we make it 10%, it doesn't even, why even bother, you know? We did, we've had all these discussions.
Well, I like to have student voice in it. I think that's useful. And if upon due consideration, they thought that was a reasonable balance, and they're the ones that are going to be measuring on it. They thought it was reasonably fair.
How many people were on the committee from each level?
It's in the front of your book. It's on page 3.
So all of these folks served on, for all areas of it.
Yes.
I share your frustrations about, because I thought one of the great things of that PGES was, for the first time in this state, you're going to have a uniform evaluation system which every district would use. You can compare teachers apples to apples. There would be real impetus for growth. There's a lot of
Yes.
silly
There were a
stuff
lot of
going on
pluses.
before PGES with
Yes.
evaluations.
And
So
I would
that
say
ended
most
that.
districts have gone back to their old original 2009 certified evaluation plan, because it's easy.
Yeah.
Probably have 1 year, probably have 1
So 5 teachers made this decision.
Yes.
For how many teachers do we have in this district? Teachers, not principals,
374.
administrators.
About
Yeah.
400.
374 teachers.
But they took this information
Back
back
to
to
their
their
staff.
schools and talked to them about it.
So was there a survey, an actual vote by teachers?
Captain, what do you think about it?
I'm have to go with the work of the group. I think you'll see the whole thing. I think in another year, they're gonna come out, the state's gonna come out with another evaluation plan. Maybe growth gap, some of those things. But for a year, or until they do,
You know, I don't want to go back to 2009. I think this is a quantum improvement of that, so.
I just hope we go down, you know, we walk the path between being fair to our staff, which we want to be, and also evaluating the staff properly in fairness to our students and our parents. And if it's,
Strikes you a decent balance, that sounds good.
I've written down, where do we go from here as a question, but you answered that already. It's going to be something different next year.
It is gonna be something.
And I share your concerns about student growth. That is so hard to measure.
It is very good.
It's very hard to measure.
And honestly, I don't know how, if you look at some of the observations, you know, I mean, I can see all the summatives at the district level, right? And so sometimes I'm really, you know, I feel like that out of 374, I would think we would have an ineffective teacher somewhere. Not a one.
Based on all criteria.
And that was with student growth. And if you look at our summits that we just completed,
and we also had a lot of people think.
so, you know, the instrument is only as good as the people that use it.
It's true.
And I can say that 800,000 times. It's only as good as the people that use it.
QuickBooks is a good accounting program, but you put garbage into it, you get garbage out, right?
I'm finding that I want to get the partners in education.
Any more questions?
Okay. Judy, Scott, Ashley, any other questions or discussion? Thank you for your work on this.
I do need an approval.
Okay, one of the things on this required sources of evidence, this Danielson framework, where does that come in?
The Danielson framework is the framework that we use for our observations. And that is
Okay.
still required by the Department of Ed.
Okay, so why is it listed separately?
It's always been listed
You know, the
separately.
following required sources of evidence.
Well, because they can use the Danielson framework when they're doing just simple walkthroughs.
Okay.
But the Danielson framework, and until we hear different, is the framework of teaching that we are using to look at planning, classroom environment, and the actual instructional part, and
It's
then
also
their
used for
professional
KTIA.
development. Yeah, and it's what KTIP is based on. Yeah, professional responsibilities. So right now, that's still in. I mean, it's, what we're trying to do is we're trying to take a Senate bill that went in effect immediately and take what we currently had and try to use the majority of it without just going back to 2009. For the year.
Other questions or discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to consider approval of the 2017-2018 certified evaluation plan as presented. I'll make that motion. Second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Heisel. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ashley, yes? Okay, so motion carries 3-1 with Dr. Kudak, Mr. Heisel, and Ashley Ritchie in favor, and Ms. Hicks opposed, and Mr. Perrigo absent. Okay. Thank you, Brenda. All right, next up is approval of classified, administrative classified evaluation plans. Ms. Ryan.
Hello.
You have
We
comfortable
still
shoes
like
on.
it.
Okay.
We still like it. We changed, I contacted a whole committee for at the administrative and also all walks of life for the just regular classified evaluation plan. And I would echo what Brenda said about the tool is a good tool. It's only as good as the people that use it. We made changes last year that were fundamental, and we don't have a lot this year. Page 7 of the just regular classified evaluation plan, we had a suggestion to take out in 3.6, cooperates with other team members, take out when appropriate, because we should always play nice with others. So that was really the only thing they changed, and we had quite a committee.
Even if the majority asks you to do something illegal, we're still
I would
supposed to.
never do anything. No, this is just a suggestion. Just a suggestion, Judy. You still have to use your head when you're doing that.
But maybe that's why the when appropriate is in there.
I guess you could argue that, but
You
you
know.
should always, you should cooperate. Doesn't mean you
The
have
message
to
you want to
agree.
give
Right.
is you need to be a team player.
You need to be a team player, and that was just one of our people asked for that, and I thought I wanted to do what that person wanted.
Even if you didn't agree with it.
I don't know. I'm pretty agreeable with everything. The only thing I would like to get done with this, if I could ever get the time, I wish it was interactive so that we could enter in and out of this tool with the computer. It would help the people that are doing the evaluations. And I just back things off and put it in myself, but I just haven't ever had time to sit down and make it like that. I'm going to work with technology this year on that. Questions for me?
Do you think our evaluation tool is doing a good job of finding problems before they happen?
Yeah, I do. If your supervisors, when you see problems going on or you see potential problems, you've got to do that early evaluation on it. And they have that option to either do a minimum of 1, but they can do as many as they want in a year. We have people on corrective action plans now and already for the beginning of school. And I think
Just
we use-
classified.
I'm only talking about classified. I mean, I'm going into the certified. But with the classified evaluation plan, it does. It addresses everything. I mean, from attendance to using district funds correctly, just doing your job. And it's got every tool in it for if there's warnings, there's first warning, second warning.
But the ability is there to make this tool be proactive.
I think so. Do you all?
Verbal warnings, written warnings.
So no student voice in this one.
Well, a student, no.
Hold the kids on the bus.
Bus driver,
This is what we-
cook. I mean, these kids
There's
know
a
their
role
bus
for that,
driver
yeah,
every
yeah.
day. So, you know, if you can have
They're gonna give you honest opinions on
student
bus
voice for a
drivers, too.
teacher, why not a student voice for a bus driver? Why not a student voice for the cook?
Actually, the cook's pretty easy. You actually look what comes back on the trays.
I think that's actually a good idea.
Because trust me, if you're over at my house for dinner, I'm looking at what you ate, what you didn't eat. So
Well,
I'm troubleshooting my meals.
That might be something the superintendent might want to look at, maybe doing some kind of survey with the kids, a random survey. I don't know, you could even do a survey monkey with the kids if you wanted to try to do that. We don't have that ability. I don't have that ability to do that with them right now, but if that's something you want Mr. Christie and technology and I to develop. we
Same
can
way
do
you
that.
make it available for teachers, you can make it available for classified. I mean, as far as the computer access, it's,
Well, difficulty though for a lot of them, tying that to the
Yeah,
ones you're
right.
actually interacting with.
Cool.
Most kids are probably
Well,
going through the
number
lunchroom,
50%,
but not everybody's
yeah.
interacting with, I don't know, a particular office staff member or something like that.
and the classified's a little more spread out from one teacher, they don't have that captive
Audience.
audience. Well,
They're
they
not
do.
tied to the lead report, and the lead report is what pulls teachers, they are tied to that student. And that's how IC functions, it interacts. The lead report, Department of Ed pulls this just through IC.
Even if you
Because the district
decided
has to
to
be
do
tied to
a
a student.
survey with them, since you can't pull the particular student with a particular bus driver with a particular cook, then you're gonna involve those students putting people's names down, or it's not gonna do you any good. And that, because with the student voice, it's tied to the person because of the.
But in a
IC.
particular school, wouldn't the students in that school be tied to the particular classified people in that school?
I guess you could evaluate the entire cafeteria, Judy. I mean, think about the logistics of it. Otherwise, they're gonna have to put a person's name down. The child's gonna have to put Cook Brown did this, and that, that's just not something that we've thought about
See, bus
doing.
drivers would be the only ones like I said, you could
Time.
possibly tie to a certain group of kids on a daily basis.
But-
You've got, in the cafeteria, you've got groups of people, even your teacher assistants, they work with different groups of people, different groups of kids on a daily basis, or on a weekly basis, or a 9-week basis, they rotate. And so they're not tied necessarily, maybe in a kindergarten classroom, or preschool classroom, the assistant is consistently there, and you can do that group of kids with an assistant there. But your custodians, cooks, cafeteria folks, that's a group of 4 to 8 or 10 people, that a large group of kids
Floaters,
are,
subs.
are there, and they don't even, may or may not even know those people. So they'd be based, maybe the student voice might be based on somebody else in that staff that they, like I said, there would be some names associated with it.
You could do an in general survey though, your
Yeah.
cafeteria.
I think you
Yeah,
could.
Give you some
do that,
feedback.
Cafeteria wise, and I think, I'm not gonna speak for Becky, but I think Becky does a lot of that with the cafeteria.
And that comes back, and that's, when you talk to cafeteria managers and some things like that, you use those kinds of things. This is a problem, and,
I think you could do general ones with your overall experience on your bus ride, your overall experience in the cafeteria, but I don't know how to tie it back to a particular person without
No, but just,
general.
your actual lunch, what do you think?
I think that's
Da-da-da-da.
very
And I think we
important.
need to know because I get so many complaints on that.
Yep.
So I would like to see what the kids say.
I'll get with Becky.
Yeah.
And I do think she does do that.
Yeah, because I get pictures sent to me and they're like, do you know what this is? Well, no, because I don't even know what you're talking about, but it's just a plate of something.
They can do that, but then also realize that the food services, we're serving more meals now than you've ever served in the history of
Oh, I
food
know, but
services.
it
So
was
there's
just,
more kids eating now than there ever has been, so.
I'd
With
just be
more kids
interested to
taking
see.
meals at least.
Yes,
Yeah.
to see what the kids are saying about their meals. Bus drivers, that one's gonna be a hard one, because we tell them, make them sit down, make them do this, make them do that.
Well, in food services, you'll always get complaints about the kids think cafeteria food's never good for some kids, it's never good.
It's like hospital food.
I think we have a great cafeteria.
Yeah.
But my mom was a food service director, so.
So you didn't know any better, huh?
I mean, if we're gonna get the kids' opinion, we just need to have the kids' opinion on everything. Kids, see what they say. Kids' opinion on your principal.
That's a thought. You could do it in some sort of generic fashion.
Mhm.
that might be-
I would like some schools to ask, do you know who your principal is? And see if we get a response.
Okay, any other comments or discussion or on the classified, administrative classified evaluation plan? If not, a motion is in order to approve the classified and administrative classified evaluation plans as presented by Ms. Ryan.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Ritchie. I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Ms. Parado absent.
Seriously,
Thank you.
y'all just wanted to leave me hanging.
All right. Next up is the district code of conduct.
I'm speaking for presenting for Mr. Stunt tonight. Code of Conduct Handbook, I think was originally adopted by the board in 1982. It was revised and changed in June 19th, 2012, and I don't think it's verbiage has changed since that date. There will be a superintendent's letter inserted there on the second page, and I think some verbiage on the signage, the parent signature page was changed, or some verbiage was deleted from the last page. And I think that has to do with the next topic coming up. I think the handbook will be available
Right.
online, so that's the reason that verbiage was taken out. Other than that, there's no changes.
I have a question for you. This is just open, you can say, Kudak, you're crazy, and this is a bad idea, but would it be possible to summarize this into a page or two, that's something someone actually would pay attention to and read? Because if you hand someone a thick thing like this, it's not going to
Yeah.
be read.
It doesn't get read.
Until a problem comes up. And some way to get at it.
But basically, all right, here's how to be a good citizen in Clark County Schools.
This
I guess I'm going to throw that out.
This is the
I don't know
one
if
that's
a good idea.
mandated to be sent on.
Right, exactly, I know that, so. So I don't even know if that's possible, but I just kind of jotted that down as a thought.
I need to look at the KRS. See what it
Hey, when I meet up with KSBA again, I'll ask them. Those will probably be people that ask that question.
I don't think it's in there. I think it's the whole, because I'm not on the internet and I can't get mine to open.
Yeah.
Mine's opening now. It takes a while.
I think the internet's faster now, as a reset.
I will say that.
I'm not on, I'm on
Shelby
my
Park
internet
High
and it
School,
won't
we use
open.
the word cards, we used it as a
Hooking back up to the school Wi-Fi or the,
code of conduct,
Yeah,
each one
go
of
to
those
the
letters,
because it's,
See, watch it.
which made it
All right,
pretty
we'll
effective.
go to the district one now.
I mean, because the code of conduct we have here is encyclopedic, and it covers all bases, and from a legal document, it's good. But I don't think people really pay much attention to it, so.
Send it till.
It's still the same
Problem.
thing. It's
No, that's a
connected.
problem, that's the first thing you look at. and That's what lawyers will look at to defend the district, and that's what students and parents will look at to see if they have a case.
To look
and-
for the
Yeah,
loopholes.
Right, so, but the majority of people are not gonna, that's like a contract. If everything is going great, you never look at your contract, right? If things going bad, it's the first thing you just pull it out and see what's on there, so.
Which one are
And this
we
is
on?
essentially a contract.
Code of conduct.
No, I know that, which,
All right, I'll ask KSBA about the
is
feasibility.
it just,
of one or
see,
two
I've got
pages.
one.
Mine just automatically
Do
comes
an
out.
addition to.
No, so you don't know which one you're on.
Go to, see if it lets
Just
you.
to kind of plant the seed there for some thought. So I think people would pay a lot more attention to a one or two page release than.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion, any other changes, or this was not substantively different from this in what years past, so.
I guess, so the last page about the signature, that may or may not be tweaked if,
Depending on next.
Depending on next, yeah.
so if we do the next item, someone will come back and tweak the wording on that.
And if we come back, if you don't do something, or if it needs to be, then when we send the other back for his final approval, we'll put this one back in there for final approval.
That's fine.
I suppose what we could probably do when we get around to making that motion, part of that motion would be, if we decide to do that, then to tweak the handbooks accordingly, and that'll tie all that in. Well, I'd like to move that we approve the proposed district code of conduct handbook.
All right, motion by Mr. Heisel.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ritchie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 4-0 with Mr. Peridot absent.
See how I didn't leave you hanging, Scott?
Next up is item number 6, and that's development of new policy to allow digital distribution of handbooks. I guess this came to my attention when we were looking at renegotiating this or copier lease, and there was a big number for central office.
It's crazy.
And the big number is printing off all these handbooks, and I'm sure these are in the trash and on street corners and you name it, so, but not in people's hands where they need to be. And just on this day and age, there should be a reason to be able to disseminate this information digitally, so save some trees. So, Scarlett did some research, and basically, if I'm reading what's in this email correctly, KSBA was fine with having student handbooks online, but their legal department suggests that code of conduct be printed.
Well, it even says it in the KRS about the code of conduct. I think it's a KRS, but the lady that I talked to, which is Janet, she told me that, I think that she said something, Dr. Kudak, like about a third of districts still distribute them, the hard copies, and everybody else has them mostly online. Of course, it's a given that you have to have some copies available for people that need them.
Right.
Or a place for them to access the handbook. That it was doable and that she just needed to revise our policy, and she has a revision suggestion that she would give us.
Okay. That was my thought about the one pager. You could make a one or two pager, give people that hard copy so they had it in their hands, and then, okay, yeah, online is the full code of conduct. Be familiar with it. But yeah, the actual statute says a copy of the code of behavior and discipline adopted by the Board of Education shall be posted at each school. Guidance counselor should be provided copies for discussion with students, so we have to provide a hard, well, it doesn't say hard copy or digital copy, so. The code shall be referenced in all school handbooks, which was done. All school employees and parents, legal guardians, and other persons exercising custodial control or supervision shall be provided copies of the code. But yeah, again, it doesn't say hard copy versus digital copy. So
The employee handbook we do digitally, and we have a method with Safe Schools that I upload the employee handbook, and they go in and they sign off that they've read it. We don't have that ability with kids to
Right.
make them sign off that they've read it, so that's what we're doing here.
could that ability be developed?
I don't think so. We pay per person on the Safe Schools. I mean, that would be a technology question.
Okay.
And that relates to that policy that email spoke of, that 9.16. I think what she was saying there was only about a third of the districts require somebody to sign acknowledging that they received the copy. And that's not mandated by statute.
Right.
That's just part of our policy, and I think she essentially invited you to delete that from your policy if you wanted to, so that there'd be no requirement anybody sign, which would resolve the technology issue too, about somebody perhaps having to get online and acknowledge that they've read it, or having to send some form home and having parents acknowledge that they've read it online. That's not required by law that anybody acknowledge it. It's just required that you provide a copy of the student handbook. And I think it's open interpretation what copy means.
Do you think us having to require a signature is a good thing legally, or is it more trouble than it's worth? I'm going to put you on the spot, Mr. Earl.
I think it's, I think it places an additional burden on the district that's not required by law. And to that extent, I think really here it's going to cost you additional dollars. And so then I think it becomes a financial question. Is it the best use of your money?
Do we take those signed documents and refile 5,500 of them, so if we need to get to it?
Principals.
Yeah.
keep them on file. Yeah, keep them on file.
But the code of conduct still requires the signature.
Well, it has it in your manual, which relates to your own policy, not state law. Law doesn't require that.
So this KRS is not the state law, the one that's quoted here?
Yeah, 158.1485G is the law, is the statute, so.
Whether
Pull up the actual
158.148 doesn't have a subsection G.
It says
I'll-
5G.
I downloaded it today, Lisa.
I don't think, I searched for it, I couldn't find it, and even looking at versions as far back as 2003, I couldn't
It's
find it.
4E,
Not 5G.
158.148.4E. And it says, copy of the code of behavior and discipline adopted by the Board of Education shall be posted in each school. The language there is the exact language that's quoted, so.
So are we filing two pieces of paper? The handbook and the code of conduct?
We're distributing the
And
hand,
actually, the code of conduct said on it, I read the handbook and the code of
Okay, so we're
conduct.
just filing one piece of paper.
I'm out of my area of expertise, I'm I'm not the student handbook person.
So this part about parents will need to acknowledge that they have reviewed the student code of conduct, so a printed acknowledgement page may need to be given to all parents so they can sign and return the document.
See,
That
that makes it
statement is
sound-
that statement is not part of the, I mean, it's with
That
the
makes it sound like
KRS
the Code of
thing.
conduct is not required to be given out in full, that you could just give out the signature page, is what that sounds like when I read it to me. So
But are those last
what-
two paragraphs part of the KRS?
According to what you read, the parents would.
Are you talking about? what-
On this email from Scarlett Ryan to Janet James,
The last two are not. The only thing that's part of the statute is what's listed in 158.
that ends with shall be
148.
provided copies of the code. Okay, thank you.
Let's see, other parts of the law, the principal of each school shall apply the code of behavior and discipline uniformly and fairly to each student at the school without partiality or discrimination. Item C contains 5 sub-items which specify things that need to be in the code. Our code complies. Let's see, subsection 4 of this statute says each local board of education shall be responsible for formulating a code of acceptable behavior and discipline to apply to the students in each school operated by the board. The code should be updated no less frequently than every 2 years. The statute was passed in 2007, so 2008 was the start date for that. Superintendent or designee should be responsible for overall implementation and supervision. Each school principal should be responsible for administration and implementation from the school. Each school council shall select and implement the appropriate disciplinary classroom management techniques necessary to carry out the code. Let's see. B also specifies what's in the code. And Parts 1 and 2 talk about student discipline guidelines, dropout rates, and Center for School Safety.
At discipline hearings, do anyone ever say, I didn't get a copy of the code, I don't know anything about it? I mean, has this material ever come up as an issue that we're happy to pull out the file and say, hey, you did, you signed it right here?
I was gonna say at the school level, that
Okay,
happens.
so it is useful to have.
At the school
Yes,
level.
it is.
Okay, that's-
Especially when someone has violated one of those and they go, well, we didn't know that that was
Okay.
against the rules. Well,
Sound like an excellent thing to keep
sign
there.
right here.
The other thing is during disciplinary hearings, we'll hear students talk about what's in the handbook. They'll refer to the handbook, they usually don't refer to the code of conduct. They'll refer to the handbook and saying, this is an appropriate punishment for me, this is not an appropriate punishment for me. So,
I will tell you that in the large part of the disciplinary actions that leaves the school comes to me here, one of the first things the parents will ask for when they come here is a copy of the student handbook. Because we've given them one already, but they signed that paper and sent that back, and they lost the handbook, so they give them another copy when they come here, and we start talking about the handbook.
As a principal, I have done through separating their signatures to find the one parent that is not.
so for our current district operations, having that signature page is helpful.
Okay, so we got that done.
So that needs to stay.
Well, on the 2 different proposed versions, perhaps my bifocals missed it, but do we state in here that that if you want it, we'll give you a written copy upon request?
You can say whatever you want in there. So I think those are, the 2 things we got were samples from KSBA, correct?
Oh,
But
that
neither
came from them.
mentioned the part about written copies are available upon request.
Well, we could ask for that.
Yeah, we can add that. That's not a problem.
Yeah, it seemed like it ought to. So this came from KSBA, they've just had 2 different, okay.
Yeah, they just gave us a couple different, and if you see 2 different things come from KSBA, you probably have some value too, so. If there was one thing that you'd have to do this by statute, they would have sent us one policy and it would have said, you have to do this because of the statute.
And they're all in and out right now.
Right.
They're all on vacation, so that's why it's kind of something she'll do it. Just all you have to do is tell her you need a couple of samples,
Right.
how to keep us in compliance. They won't let us be out of compliance.
No.
And what has happened to, Katrina drafted one, and when she was drafting it, she went in and saw that Janet had started one. So that's why you have the 2 different versions. So
Okay.
she sent me both, so I uploaded them.
So one just says post online, and the other says provided digitally.
I think all we're really talking about here is the student handbooks as far as far as distributing. I think
All right,
if
so
we
we
Right,
feel
not
that the
the
code of
code.
conduct should be printed.
The code of conduct has to be distributed to everybody. I think the law is what it says that. It's the handbook that you're talking about. Do you want to just make that available on the web and copies if they request it?
Or copies of their requested, that would be my suggestion.
And then make it,
Well, it's fine with me. I want to make sure in the policy they know that they have the right to get a written copy.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
don't use that excuse of, well, I don't have a computer, blah, 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 blah. They
Right.
say, all I have to do is call and we'll get you one.
So
the
if
wording
you
should
went
reflect
from
that.
the one labeled draft 614-17, school shall prepare, review annually, and digitally distribute a handbook listing district and school rules and regulations. Parents shall be asked to provide written acknowledgement that they have received and reviewed the handbook. Would that be acceptable?
Well, I like that.
And
would you say received and
reviewed.
reviewed or?
Because they've not, they've not received it. You're telling them to go
Received or
somewhere.
reviewed. They
Received
received or reviewed,
yeah.
one or the other.
Yeah, received or reviewed the handbook.
So I can receive it but not review it, or I can review it and not receive it.
Somebody else is going to get after me.
Got it.
Here's the
I think
thing.
it's
They
received and
can't
reviewed.
receive a handbook if you're writing them a link and telling them to go and click on
Right.
it. Click on
I
it.
agree.
You're not giving
I
somebody
agree.
that.
But once they
when you
click
do
on
that.
it, they've received it.
Now, if you download it, I guess you could say you've received it, but if you just browse it online, then you haven't. So,
I'll bet.
Yeah.
so what's the proper language there?
I'm happy with that review.
Are we
Received
still
that
gonna
review.
make them sign off on the handbook?
Yeah.
I thought the code of conduct, but not the handbook. You're gonna make them sign off on the handbook. Did
You go, well, I would have one sheet of paper that says I've reviewed the code of conduct and the handbook.
Okay.
We go back and put that same line in with the code of conduct that they've reviewed,
Yes.
received and or reviewed the handbook, student handbook. And we could even put
Link.
yeah, but you could also, you could provide the link and say where it's available if they want to receive a copy, how they could receive it by asking the principal or they or the counselor.
It could be on our webpage on the map.
Listen,
Welcome back to school. Here are the handbooks.
Now, suppose it would really be wandering at the edge of the reservation, we put receive, reviewed, and understand.
Right, that's off the reservation. That's
I thought we were out on the edge there by the fence line. I just wanted to check, so.
Okay, and then we need to put a line in, any parent or student may be provided a paper copy on request.
You'd be provided.
Will be provided a paper copy upon the request.
Maybe just upon request.
Yeah,
and this verbiage will go on the sign-in sheet or the signing sheet for the code of conduct that everybody receives.
Right. So we have one piece of paper that says, I've received a student handbook and a code of conduct, and one signature covers both.
That's,
That gives principals even more.
Judy, what wording you like on, the exact wording on how to tell them that they can get a paper copy?
A printed hard copy will be provided
Upon request?
upon request.
Okay.
Would you say that a digital version is available at and list where it's available on the website? Or a printed
hard copy.
is available by
Request, upon
Request.
request. To the principal or counselor
Or both.
or both.
either?
All right, here's what we have so far. School shall prepare, I'll read this so we can smith it a little bit more if you want. School shall prepare, review annually, and digitally distribute a handbook listing district and school rules and regulations. Parents shall be asked to provide written acknowledgement that they have received and/or reviewed the handbook. A paper hard copy will be distributed upon request. All right, let's do the last line again in this
be
last line.
provided upon request.
May be provided a printed hard
A
copy.
printed hard copy.
Will be provided upon request.
Okay, of schools.
Upon request to the principal or counselor.
And their students, I guess they would say that's if their student school on the municipality.
Yeah. a school shall prepare, review annually and digitally distribute a handbook listing district and school rules and regulations. Parents shall be asked to provide written acknowledgement that they have received and/or reviewed the handbook. A printed hard copy may be provided upon request of the principal or counselor.
Will be.
Will be, will or shall.
Okay. Yeah, let's do shall. That's a better lawyer word. Okay. Any other changes, comments, or discussion?
Were we gonna put on there where you can get a link of the digital copy, or?
I think we should put where we're going to find those in the handbooks. Oh, no, wait, that doesn't make any sense, never mind.
How are they gonna find the
You
handbook?
can find the handbooks if you have where the link on the handbooks, that doesn't make sense, sorry.
You can put the information on the acknowledgement. page
Yeah,
of the code.
that's why I was thinking you put the link would be on that acknowledgement. that they-
Yes.
That's where I put it for my employee.
Okay, are they turning that page back in?
Yes.
So where is their link after they turn that page back in?
What's
They
the
have to-
website?
You have to visit the website.
The
review it, then sign it, send it to them.
www.parkschools.net to view the hard copy. to
Okay.
view a copy.
But if that's just only on the page they're giving back to you.
Well, Judy, I think they know the website. I mean, I
Well,
think
some
so.
people
Hold on, should we
don't.
specify
Some
digitally
people have
distribute
no
via
clue.
the district website?
The .net confuses them, they think it's
Yeah,
.com.
or
And that will take you to
.edu, or
the bottom.
.edu.
It will, if you put clarkschools.net, it routes you to the website. If you Google Clark County Public Schools Kentucky, it takes you to the website.
If you go to Clark County Public Schools, it takes you to that. also.
Yes.
Nevada and Tennessee and Indiana.
Indiana.
Vegas is the biggest district, you go there first, so yes, but Indiana too.
Just say Kentucky. But yeah, I put in my employee one, the link to where it's online. We can put it on the webpage to scroll.
How about and digitally distribute via school and district websites?
I think that's pretty good. I mean, you go on here and you read student or parents, the third item down is school handbook, so I think that's pretty easy to find.
If they can find the website, they can find the handbook.
There's enough trouble to find a website.
Or you can ask for one in writing.
Pardon?
Or you can ask for one in writing.
Mhm.
One of those little dotted lines, cut that off, keep that part, sign the rest.
All right, so here's what I have. Schools shall prepare, review annually, and digitally distribute via school and district websites a handbook listing districts and district and school rules and regulations. Parents shall be asked to provide written acknowledgement that they have received and/or reviewed the handbook. A printed hard copy shall be provided upon request to the principal or counselor.
No, when I hear that, it doesn't sound right.
And/or
It sounds
receive.
like the principal or counselor are requesting it.
Yeah, you're right.
It'll be provided to the principal or counselor. No.
What do you-
Submitted to the principal or counselor. Given to the principal or counselor.
Last time, what did the last?
A
time?
printed hard copy shall be provided upon request provided to the principal or counselor.
Request to the principal.
Actually, upon
Leave it
request.
off upon request. I mean,
Actually, no,
figure it out.
the way to redo that is upon request of the principal or counselor.
Can't we just leave it at upon request and they can figure it out?
Yeah.
A copy of the document, the principal or counselor.
Or upon request. of
Or
the
just
student's
upon
school.
request.
I sent that
Period.
wording to you. What's in the email there, Mr. Christie?
This one said, first you said a printed hard copy will be provided upon request to principal or counselor.
When I hear
Yeah.
that, it sounds like
That's
the
funky.
handbook is being provided to the principal or counselor rather than to the parent or student requesting it.
You just said that neither version of the policy contains verbiage about a student or a parent requesting a printed hard copy version of the handbook.
Okay, I didn't give suggested wording.
Can we just
make it upon request and leave it at that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay.
They're gonna call us anyway.
Trust me.
Somebody will find it.
They'll keep calling until they find somebody.
A printed hard copy shall be provided upon request.
Boom, simple.
Okay, nice. Do I gotta read it again?
No,
Do I have to read it again?
please don't.
All
So
right.
the only other thing is, do we want to tell them where they can find a digital copy? You know, the digital copy?
We said on the, digitally
That was on
distributed
there.
by a school and district websites.
Okay, perfect.
There we go.
It's gonna be pretty prominent beginning of the year.
Okay, and that was the one dated June 14th.
Second, the last.
Version 2.
Right. Okay. Yeah, this will come back for a second reading tomorrow.
If you give it, if you approve it tonight, at that point, whatever.
Yeah, any other discussion? We'll put it at the end of the, back end of the policies, we have lots of talk about. All right, I'll consider a motion for new policy 09.16 as presented.
I move that we approve the new policy 09.16.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
Second.
second by Ms. Rich. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0, Mr. Parado absent. All right. Next item is a closed session. The board is to adjourn the closed session for a meeting which federal or state law specifically requests to be conducted in privacy for the preliminary discussion of the superintendent's evaluation for KRS 61.810, subsection 1, subsection K, and KRS 156.557.
I move that we adjourn to closed session for the meeting which federal or state law specifically requests to be conducted in privacy for the preliminary discussion of the superintendent's evaluation for KRS 61.810, subsection 1, subsection K, and KRS 156.557.
Motion by Ms. Hicks,
Second.
second by Mr. Heiss. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. The board's in closed session with Mr. Parado absent. The board's in closed session at 7:59 PM.
Oh, start with a break, how about that?
Yes.